And welcome to SpartanMag Live. Happy Halloween to everybody. My name is Jim Comparoni, publisher, SpartanMag.com. All the Spartan Maggers, come on in. All the Spartan fans from around the world, come on in, gather around, get yourself some refreshments. We're going to talk about that football game today. Not much of a football game. Kidding about that. Ann Arbor, Michigan. Michigan State 27, Michigan 24. Big surprise in a lot of ways. Maybe not so surprising in other ways. We'll be talking about that. We'll be taking your calls. Come on in, post on the live feed. We'll answer some of those, and we will talk Michigan State football. Tremendous victory over the Michigan Wolverines today, an empty Michigan Stadium. Tremendous performance, clean performance. After what Michigan State did against Rutgers last week, in terms of the improvement from week 1 to week 2, that's a cliche. Well, cliches are built because of performances like that. Amazing, but also very methodical. The coaching today was just very in control. Just finished the VCast with Konadike a minute ago. One of the words that I used was one of Mel Tucker's words, intentional. He always talks about we're a very intentional program. They were intentional today. They came out believing that they could go deep with their speedy wide receivers and outspeed Michigan's corners. That's not the way I saw the matchup coming into the game. They saw it that way. They went at it and made it work. I counted 13 deep passes. 8 of them were successful. 5 completions, 3 flags. Rocky Lombardi, we've seen him do a lot of things over the years. Last week was pretty good, I thought. Surprisingly good in some ways. Wasn't sure about the deep ball, but he was on the money with the deep ball today. And he showed great leadership. Michigan State aggressive on the first play of each drive, again and again and again. Then at the end of the half, buckled it down. And like I was telling Konadike, yeah, they were conservative. And over at the Underground Bunker message board at SpartanMag.com, some people were, a little put off by that conservatism late in the first half. But again, very intentional. That wasn't Jay Johnson. That was Mel Tucker stepping in and say, let's run out the clock. Don't make a mistake here. 14-10. We got control of this game. We're gaining control of this game. Michigan's got some playmakers on defense. Good pass rush. Let's not make a mistake at our own 25-yard line. Let's run this clock out, get to halftime, come back, kick off to them, 3 and out, and go back to work. Then they got aggressive again. So that was like an NFL type of thing. Aggressive, play clock, melted down at the end of the half, then back to aggressiveness. Methodical, intentional, well-coached, impressive. Leadership, Antoine Simmons, Rocky Lombardi. Togetherness. Everything they went through last week, the loss to Rutgers, with this challenge at Michigan, everybody telling they didn't have a chance, 21-point underdog, myself included. I didn't say they didn't have a chance, but everybody telling them that, and it's going to make a team rally together. And you can rally early in a season. You can rally when you're 0-1. It's harder to rally if you're, 2-5. They rallied for this one, and the next question is, can they continue with this? And is this a one-hit wonder, or can they be a good team throughout the near future? I think they can be. And Tucker talks about the brand of Michigan State football. That was branding 101 today. Aggressive, physical, togetherness, buckled down, and a great picture for Michigan State recruiting and everything else, and a tremendous performance. Very impressive. Impressed with Jay Johnson. Some of the way they went about being aggressive on offense. Impressed with that little screen pass they did on 3rd and goal at the 13 to go up by 10 points. For everything that we thought we knew about this coaching staff and all the concerns about the future of the program, that's all turned on its head today because the future looks different. And it's college football. Things can change from week to week, especially this year. Meanwhile, here in Ann Arbor, listening to some talk shows. I'm not actually in Ann Arbor right now. This picture is a picture I took from the press box earlier today. They don't let us stay in the press box more than 3 hours, which is understandable. But listening to some of the talk shows in Detroit, the reaction there, I heard a talk show host in Detroit some of the, I've got a lot of respect for, saying that he thinks it's time for Harbaugh to part ways with Michigan and vice versa. And I was like, man, that's pretty heavy. And that talk show was all about Michigan, and it's a Detroit radio station, but it was all about Wolverines, Wolverines, Wolverines. So that's why we are here, for the Spartans to call in, rejoice, tell us what you think. We've had a few people call already. I think we've got Tim in Dallas, Texas on the line right now. I want to know what you guys think. Give me your 3 stars of this game. I can think one of them probably, Ricky White, and we'll talk about him a little bit later. But let's go out to Tim in Dallas, Texas. Tim, are you with us? You still there?
Yes, I am.
All right,
Yep.
Tim. Congratulations. You're a Spartan, right?
Exactly.
Well,
One of those good days.
Congratulations for being a Spartan and hanging with them, and you're a very happy man tonight, right?
Exactly. I was chatting with a bunch of my roommates during the whole game too, so it was good.
That's the great thing. That's one of the great things about college football is the way. Are you still there? Did I drop you? Tim, are you still there? Tim, call back. Let me see if I might even call you back. Anyway, I mean, this is very, very Wayne's World of us. We are not the most. Anyway, Tim, you got to call back and let me know who you are. I'm sorry I dropped your call. You waited so patiently during my intro, and then that's Grand Prairie, Texas, right there. That's Tim.
Yep. Sorry, good. Dropped somehow.
Is that you? All right.
Yep, this way back. Yeah.
Congratulations. That's a great thing about being a college sports fan is on a day like this, you can regain contact with old friends. It gives you a reason to reach out to those old friends of yours that you knew from college, and a lot of the Michigan State fans watching right now. You tell me what it was like talking with those guys today and your impressions about the game.
Oh, it was great. I mean, especially comparing it to last week and just seeing like, hey, we've actually are looking solid, fundamentals. That was a big criticism last week. And just seeing them actually put forth the effort. You could tell there was belief, there wasn't the fear / going through the motions. It was really hard-nosed, hard-fought, focused game.
Hard-nosed, physical. Michigan State was the more physical team today, sticking with the 4-2-5. There were a lot of hard hits out there today, and it seemed like 80% of them were delivered by Michigan State.
Exactly. A lot of guys laying on the ground that were near them.
Physical.
But overall,
physical. And Shaq Brown, and it could have been worse. It could have been a bigger margin of victory. If Shaq Brown doesn't have that personal foul, I don't think Michigan scores on that drive. It would have been like 3rd and 10 at the 41-yard line. And there was a play in the second quarter, shallow crossing route. Michigan doesn't do a lot of the man-to-man so far this year like they did in past years when Ohio State really made them pay. One almost got loose. Jalen Naylor just threw his fingertips late in the second half. Michigan State had to punt on that drive. Otherwise, that one was going into the red zone, and that was going to be a big play. So Michigan State left some plays on the field, but pass protection was better than anyone anticipated. 0 sacks, 5 penalties, only 5 penalties, 0 turnovers. Across the board, just clean football.
I don't think anybody on the planet would have had that prediction after last week's game. So.
All right. Tim, hold on a second. That's okay.
Yes.
I was trying to decline a call that was coming in because you're on right now, and I think last time I accidentally cut you off when I was trying to decline another phone call that was coming in. So if people hear that beeping call waiting noise, I'm trying to get rid of that. You're calling from the 214 area code right now?
Correct.
All right. I'm just trying to get. I'm just driving this thing, trying to find out how to drive stick right now and find out where the brakes are. But
sure.
So who are your 3 stars of the game? I mean, Ricky White, obviously, right?
Yeah, obviously you can't have them up there. I'd also, even though he didn't play a ton, but Hayward, I think just the way he fought for the end zone. Of course, the onside recovery was a big step too. I was really impressed with him. And I think you got to give it to Lombardi. I mean, even though I think some of the throws, steep throws, were a little short, but he was on the money for the most part when he needed to be. And, of course, players like White stepping up like he did definitely made things look good.
Ricky White. And, hey, if people are calling in, if we don't answer, the time to call in is right when we drop somebody because we can't. The way we're operating right now, we can't put like 4 or 5 callers. We can't stack them up on deck and go one after another. I don't have a producer, and I can't do that right now. There is some, there are some, an application that I can get to work on that to have that in the future, and we expect to have that at some point. But anything else before we move on?
No, I think I don't know if we'd say honorable mention, but a debate would be Simmons in the middle linebacker as well. I think his performance, just being all over the field, was great.
Thanks a lot, Tim. Thanks a lot for calling. Really appreciate it. Have a great night, okay?
Call from
Caleb for work.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Caleb in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Welcome to Spartan Mag Live. How you doing, man? Do we got you? Caleb?
Yeah. Hey.
You're on Spartan Mag
Can you
Live.
hear me?
Yeah, welcome to the show. How you doing, man?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great. It was a privilege to be at the stadium watching college football. An historic day for a lot of reasons. Some of them negative, of course. I'm going to try to decline that call. Are you still with me, Caleb?
Yes, I'm here.
Awesome.
Sorry.
I've got it. No, but it was great to be there. It was strange to be there without fans. There were a lot of times when like Michigan would make a big play and you wait for that eruption of crowd noise, but of course there was none. And
Right.
for obvious reasons. And I think you're seeing more road games. I think over the course of the season, you'll see more road team win this year. Michigan State got it done today, proved themselves in a lot of ways, and they aren't surprised. That's what people need to realize.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, Rocky Lombardi, if you go and watch the video of him at SpartanMag.com, the post-game press conference, his reaction to the game at Rutgers was not like ours. You know, we were like, man, what is going on with this team? This team is a mess. They could go 0-8. Rocky Lombardi said that he was telling guys all week, man, we got players. He came out of the Rutgers game thinking, man, I can do this. We got players. Just get rid of the turnovers and we're going to score. And he told Antoine Simmons in practice all week, dude, we are going to score. We're going to put points up. You guys do your job. We're going to get this. Confidence was there. He was undeterred by that Rutgers game. He gained confidence from it. He didn't tell us that at the time so much, but you see it now. Rocky Lombardi, a confident game manager. Caleb, what's on your mind, man?
Hey, I wanted to call and just talk about, I know I was a little rough on Jay Johnson towards, the end of the first half. I thought running up the middle 3 times, and I was just kind of like, man, but then that drive in the fourth quarter where nothing against the old staff, where we would have run the ball to try to chip away at the clock, but he was airing it out with Lombardi, and I feel like he finally put his full trust that, hey, Lombardi's arm is good enough to win this ball game. And I think that was a big confidence booster for the offense. Instead of, running the ball. They finally said, hey, let's open up a little bit. We're beating them through the air. And then I think secondly, I thought, Tucker this week has been all about the culture. And I think you saw that in the press game conference where, Ricky White said, hey, Lombardi, all the credit to him. Lombardi said all the credit to this person. The coaching staff said all the credit to this person. And so I thought that was really cool, just seeing the guys deflect all of the praise to someone else. And I just think that speaks volumes of the locker room right now.
I agree, Caleb. And that drive, the touchdown drive to go up 27-17, remember, it began at Michigan State's own 8-yard line. The drive previous to that, the drive began at the 2-yard line. So consecutive drives from their own 2, drove down, missed a field goal. From their own 8, came out, drove down, touchdown. I mean, you talk about flexing some offensive muscle and some creativity, maybe not like crazy creativity, but just keeping you off balance and just punching and counter-punching. In that drive, starting at the 8, they immediately faced a 3rd down and 3 at their own 15-yard line. This is with 8 minutes to go in the game. And the deep corner route to a diving catch, Jaden Reed, 18 yards against Green. 3rd and 3 from your own 15. You talk about executing, touch. Rocky Lombardi, your own 15, you're right. The previous staff might not have thrown there. And then 3 plays later, 3rd and 7 at their own 36-yard line. And that's a stop route to Ricky White, and broke a tackle and took it all the way to the 49-yard line. And then they get down to the 34-yard line. That's when they went deep to Ricky White when he made that juggling catch while being interfered with down to the 2-yard line. That was the point at which I was wondering, how Las Vegas puts out those percentage chances of winning the game? There's percentage.
Right.
I'm guessing it was right around maybe 56% for Michigan State. And when he caught that ball, I'll bet it jumped up to 80% because you're about to go in to go up by 10. That to me was like a turning point of the game. But then one play later, clipping penalty on J.D. Duplain, and you've got 1st and goal at the 18. So that thing just like turned on a dime. So now you're probably back to 60%. Kick a field goal, you're up 6. That's not comfortable. And, hey, aggressive and creative again. Came out with the next play was a jet sweep with Naylor for about 5 yards. And the next play was that little screen pass that they ran earlier and got called back for the illegal block. Touchdown. Paul Bunyan. You know what I'm saying? Up 10. From there on, I mean, yeah, Michigan came back and scored. It took them 18 plays to do it, and they melted all the clock. Michigan State rushed 4, not 3.
Yep.
And they were playing basically cover 4, not like a deep prevent. You know, they were still trying to get home, but, playing some zone defense, giving you something underneath and making the tackle. And I don't think Milton was comfortable all day throwing against Michigan State's changing zone defenses. And Michigan State was doing something. I talked about this in the VCast over at SpartanMag.com. They were doing like a 2/3 Jackson, Michigan callback in a minute. We appreciate you calling. Call back in a minute as soon as Caleb's done here. Michigan State was playing like 2/3 of a cover 3, where middle's in cover 3 and then one of the corners is in cover 3 and then the other guy's in man-to-man. It's a combination thing, Seattle Seahawks type of thing. DJ Durkin used to do that at Florida, and he was planning to do it at Michigan. I think he might have done it a little bit. But and they were changing the pictures on that a little bit. Sometimes it'd be cover 4. Sometimes they're dropping different people to the deep middle. Sometimes it would be person. Sometimes Xavier Henderson would drop deep middle. They ran Tampa 2 at least twice defensively on that last drive. They showed it once early in the game. I think I charted Tampa 2 maybe 4 or 5 times in that game, where a linebacker goes to the deep middle and they run cover 2. And I thought I saw cover 6, what some people call cover 6, which is cover 2 on one side, cover 4 on the other. That means quarters, halves. And it didn't declare itself right away. It would declare itself gradually. And I think Milton threw for 300 yards, had a pretty good day, but had to throw 51 times to get 300 yards. Michigan State contained him. He didn't make the big interception, almost did once or twice. Milton's going to be good, but I think Michigan State, their pass defense took Milton to school a little bit today. Milton didn't have a terrible day, but he never got going, never got anything more. He had a 26-yarder and no more than that. Anything else, Caleb? I got old Tuck calling in. Anything else?
Nope. I just want to say, hey, appreciate all you've done and appreciate the coverage. And, hey, it's a good day to be a Spartan.
Thanks, Caleb. You calling from Chattanooga? Is that where you're calling from?
Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Appreciate. Are you a SpartanMag.com subscriber?
I am.
Appreciate you, man. Thanks a lot. Thanks for calling. Call back next time. Also, Old Tuck, we missed you.
Thank you.
All right, man. Hey, you know what? Old Tuck's. I was gonna bump Old Tuck, but are you still on, Caleb?
Yeah, I'm about to hang up.
All right. Thanks a lot. I appreciate you, man. Thanks a lot. Happy Halloween to Caleb. Happy Halloween to Old Tuck. Old Tuck, you tried 3 times. I apologize, man. I apologize. We'll call back in here in a minute. Let me check the chat area, and then we'll talk a little bit more about some things. Let's see here. All right, so Ricky White. All right, who we got now? There's Old Tuck.
Call from.
Old Tuck.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Old Tuck from Austin, Texas, by way of Ludington, Michigan. He's a regular. We appreciate all of his contributions. And Old Tuck, I'm betting, is a pretty happy man. Welcome to Spartan Mag Live post-game call-in show, Old Tuck.
Old Tuck. Thanks, Comp. I'm sitting out on my back porch here in Austin. It's about 70 degrees. I've got a bourbon in my hand.
Drinking my
and
hand.
What I'm thinking about, drinking my hand, and I'm a happy man. And what I'm thinking about, Old Comp, is, the most competitive football family in all the world, the Harbaughs. I wonder if Jack Harbaugh gave that speech before the game today. Old Jack, he coached at Western Michigan and Western Kentucky, but we all know him. And we took it to him again. And we watched that Popeye-looking Jimmy, competitive Harbaugh on the sidelines over there, wince and fiddle with his mask, but he's got no answer for the Spartans. And I'll give you my 3 stars right off the bat here. Number 1, obviously, Ricky White. He caught the ball. He got open. That Vinny Gray, I don't know the last time I saw Michigan DBs that just have no prayer on covering a 4 streaks, and that Vincent Gray's got a long career ahead of him. Number 2, I think that center was it Duplain or I forget Duplain or the other younger guy.
Nick Samak, true sophomore.
Same. Yeah.
Duplain.
I thought he. It's hard to. It's hard to decipher sometimes, but we had no sacks. We ran the ball not great, but consistently. Simmons stays forward. He falls forward. He protected the ball. He's going to be a good back. We stuck with the run like we always have talked about, but haven't always done. Jay Johnson stayed with the run here and there, pecking, staying balanced. And then I'll tell you what, Scotty Hazelton, I liked everything he did all day, but, you got to give some credit to that D-line, especially Naquan Jones. He got dinged, went out, came back in, but he stayed active all day, and they rolled those guys in and out, especially on that last drive. Camper and all those guys were rolling in and out pretty quick.
Hunt and Deshaun Mallory made a big play. Naquan Jones was just kind Naquan Jones was just kind of a guy last week against Rutgers, and he's got more to give than that, I thought. And he showed today that he did, because that was firm up the middle almost all day. And the play that he was hurt on, he made a great play. He was firm, got off, made the tackle.
Yeah.
Probably got a stinger or something, upper body, shoulder, came back. He was a dog. He was good. And Hazelton, watching him on the sideline a little bit today, reminded me a little bit of Narduzzi a little bit, getting everybody amped up a little bit, maybe even more boisterous. He's got that Duck Dynasty beard going and stuff like that, but I think that he knew that his outfit was on today. And, like Muhammad Ali said in Zaire, fighters know when fighters are ready. You know what I'm saying? And Hazelton knew his guys had it. And they had it dialed in, and they never let anything get out. And they were playing an abundance of coverages, and where Michigan State was always on the same page. You didn't have any of those, not on the same page errors, assignment busts, which happened every single week last year with Paul Haynes as defensive backs coach.
Yeah.
Kalen Gervin.
Yep.
They tested him deep twice today. Came up big. Going to number 18, the sophomore, starts with an S. Can't pronounce his name. Good receiver for Michigan. What's his name? Sainristil. Made a good play last week.
Yeah.
But Kalen covered him well today. I'm going to let you go. Got a call and come from the Detroit. Anything else, Old Tuck? Got more?
Nope, I'm all good. Thanks,
all right,
Tom.
man. Thanks a lot.
Go Green.
All right.
Call from
313 Hitman from Detroit.
to accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Are you with us in Detroit? Is that 313?
Yes, yes, I am 313 Hitman from Detroit.
The 313 Hitman. We appreciate the 313 Hitman calling in. I have to believe that it's a happy place in your residence today in Detroit, Michigan.
Oh, yes, and it's mine.
It's what? It's good?
It's mine. I mean, today, oh, my goodness. I mean, Antoine Simmons and Ricky White, I mean, they were really the main stories that carried us to this entire game. And then shout out to Rocky, too, with his composure. I saw glimpses of it against Rutgers, but today his composure was on another level. I was sitting there like, wow. I mean, even though we couldn't get the run game going, we struggled with that quite a bit. That got to be shored up a little better. But, man, Ricky White was on the ball today. I mean, I was shocked that, Michigan secondary was that. I was shocked that they was off cold like that. I was like, wow. I mean, Ricky White making catch after catch and everything, and really those are two main players that really stood out for me today. But I really think our D-line, in the end, made some key plays as well as far as pass rush.
Absolutely. And, Michigan State, the running game, Michigan State netted 126 on the ground. And that's about what they needed. 60 or something last week against Rutgers. Minnesota ran the ball well against Michigan. And in the pre-snap read at SpartanMag.com, that's one thing that I saw when I looked at Michigan more and more. Of course, they gave up some yards against Minnesota, is you could run the ball at them a little bit. Hutchinson's a good player, but Minnesota ran it at him. I'm not sure where Michigan State got their limited success today, but 3.3 was enough on 38 carries. It was just enough body shots so they can go back to the head and score up that way. You know what I'm saying? It's just enough that they were not one-dimensional with the pass. They got enough done on the ground. Rocky Lombardi, 17 out of 32, 323 through the air, and the big plays. I counted 5 completions on deep passes, drew 3 penalties on deep passes. 5 completions and also 2 or 3 that were near completions. Guys that were open and didn't connect on it, but enough to make the defense's knees just a little bit weak and get some of that doubt creeping in on Michigan a little bit. They've been told all week how great they were and how bad they were going to beat Michigan State, but Michigan State didn't read that script, didn't follow that script. Amazing performance for Michigan State. Anything else, 313?
Antoine Simmons, that guy was all over the ball. He was in pass rush. He was in tackles. He was everywhere today.
And leading
he had a near pick in the end zone in the first quarter.
That was that the third quarter? That was when they cut it to 14-10 maybe, or 17. That made it 17-17.
It was right around that time.
I think that tied it up at 17-17. That was a key point in the game, and that was Wildcat. Michigan came out in a Wildcat. They've been doing a lot of Wildcat inside the 10-yard line this year. And Haskins, I'd never seen Oakland, California. As soon as 313 Hitman's done, Oakland, California, you call back in. But I've never seen. We've seen in the past. Same with you, Rutland, Vermont. Call back in when 313 Detroit Hitman is done. I've never seen a running back. Of course, we've seen running back in the Wildcat before, and we've seen running back occasionally throw and occasionally execute handoffs. Usually, it's a keeper all the way Wildcat. I've never seen a Wildcat running back look to the sideline for a play call. That's when you knew something was up, right? He looked at the sideline for the go-ahead on the jump pass. And it was a good call, and they had it open for a second, but Simmons recognized it just in time to get back there and tip that one away. If that play connects, the game might change. As much as I thought Michigan State was the better team, but not putting them away, of course, but I thought Michigan State was the better team from start to finish. Denver, Colorado, call us back in a minute. But, Oakland, California, call back in right now. I'll let you get back on if it comes in that order. But Simmons, very heady play right there. Emotional leader, intelligent guy, team guy in his hometown, physical, the whole thing. College football player, a credit to Michigan State, a credit to college football. Antoine Simmons, I'm happy for that kid today.
Yeah, he definitely led the defense and clearly was in darn near every single play out there, Jim.
11 tackles I think he had, and even more impressive, I suspect, was the work he did in practice all week. 313 Hitman. All right, we're gonna let you go.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Right. Thanks a lot, man. Thanks, 313.
Welcome.
Call from
Nils Deco.
To accept, press 1.
All right, let's go out to Houston, Texas. Nils Deco. What's going on, Nils?
We're just celebrating down here in H-Town, buddy. What do you think?
Nils Deco, known as Amy on the message board at SpartanMag.com, the Underground Bunker message board. Formerly of the Horn in Austin, Texas. The founder of Texas Top 100. And he is the, what do you call yourself? He's the
what do you mean? I'll give myself a lot of nicknames.
The appraiser of talent, the talent evaluator.
The evaluator. That's what we are. We're the evaluator.
Nils
Nick Foles, Kerry Hyder, Chase Harper, DJ Grant, Darius Starks, all the old school Mark D'Antonio recruits.
All right, thanks to Benjamin Walmsley for that super chat. Benjamin Walmsley. Let's see what we got here. I don't know if that worked or not. Anyway, thanks a lot,
doing?
Benjamin. What's that?
What are you doing? Are we good?
Yeah, we're good. I was trying to do a sound effect 'cause I don't have my bell, but I don't think that worked either. But Nils Deco.
Are you in the big outhouse still? Where are you?
I am at the actual underground bunker.
Oh, you are? Okay, because in the background it looks like you're at the big outhouse.
Yeah,
the stadium that.
That's actually, it's a green screen. I took that picture in the press box earlier today, but they don't let us stay in the press box for more than 3 hours. Plus, they would never let me do something like this there. That wouldn't fly.
Well,
but we were
let's
there.
say you are. Let's just technically say you are.
Do you want me to lie and just say I am? But it's daylight here. Yeah. I wouldn't be able to. I'm not a very good liar. I'm just not a very good liar. You might think that's a lie, but not real good at it. But Nils, talked to you a little bit last night, and you called during the Minnesota-Maryland game, and you were having the same idea that a lot of Michigan State fans were having, that Minnesota was terrible. That was the big revelation last night. So all of a sudden, you're doing the transitive property saying, okay, well, how good is Michigan? They looked great against Minnesota, but Minnesota's out there on defense playing flag football.
Well, I mean, Minnesota might be the worst team in the Big Ten this year. I mean, P.J. Fleck is a smoke and mirrors guy. I mean, that Maryland team is not very good. And, I mean, Maryland took it to them. I mean, Minnesota was lucky they were only going to be by a point. But let's not go there. Let's just talk about the fact that William Pegler did a hell of a job as a running backs coach. I owe him a big apology for calling him out on the message board last week, and I feel really bad. And that I said there was a lack of apparent talent. But no one told me about that kid from Marietta, Georgia, that you had talked about his video being so good last year when they had the signing day, and you're like, this Ricky White guy from Marietta, Georgia is the real deal. Well, guess what? Dave Warner and Terry Samuel, I think it's more Dave Warner than Terry Samuel, but wherever they are tonight, they deserve a major pat on the back because Ricky White, he's pretty good.
He had good junior film, and then I'll get your question in a minute, Benjamin Walmsley. Good junior film, and then for Marietta High School, Division 5 or Division 6 state championship was excellent senior film to the point where I'm like, Michigan State's not going to be able to hang on to this guy. I thought he was having too good of a senior year. You saw what he is today, right? I didn't know he's going to do that. But throughout the course of the summer,
he has the best hips. He has the best hips of any receiver we've had. I mean, since I've been watching this, better than Andre Rison. I'm telling you right now, of all the receivers I've seen, he has the best hips that we've had in the last 35 years. I've been watching Michigan State football since 1983. George Prost's first year, the first ever time I've gotten a stadium, he has the best hips of any receiver we've had. Because we always have those guys that are big, straight line guys, but this guy has hips. That's how you adjust the ball in the air like he did today. I mean, this kid is a freak.
Yeah, I didn't know he was going to do that. I didn't know he was going to 8 catches, 196 yards. And I was going to ask him a question. I did not get a chance to ask him a question during the post-game Zoom press conference because you only get like 5 or 6 questions. I got in line a little bit late, and they had to cut off questions in order to get the guys on the bus to go home. And I was just going to ask, I was going to say, Ricky White, what are you, 18, 19 years old, from Marietta, Georgia? Do you have any idea the impact that you had on sports fans in the state of Michigan today? Michigan State fans are like, who's that dude? That guy's on our team? Okay, good. And Michigan fans, you killed them. And you're Ricky White from Marietta, Georgia, halfway through your first semester in college. Tell me how are you processing this? Are you even aware? He wasn't aware. He just playing football, happened to help his teammates win a rivalry game. He doesn't know much about the rivalry. The place is empty. He's just out there playing football. He has no idea. He has no idea.
But the thing is, though, he made play after play after play. I've never seen a guy.
And the game plan, they went to him early as if they knew that Michigan wasn't going to be able to cover this guy. And we've never seen Ricky White.
Where was he last week, though? I mean, that's my only concern. I'm not going to hate on him, but I'm just like, because we saw number 7. I'm like, okay, Cody White's not on our team anymore. Have we ever had a deal where the guy that was the previous year's player had the same last name, and the rookie guy is the same? I'm like, I just thought Cody White graduated or he left.
I don't know. One other thing with Ricky White, I'm watching them go deep early and often. Aaron May is saying, what's your assessment of Jalen Naylor? I thought he could have done better as well, even though he had a good game. There were a couple passes he looked shaky on. Well, he had those 2 illegal blocks, which helped Michigan stay within a touchdown. And then Jalen Naylor also, there was that crossing route we talked about earlier where Michigan State caught them in man-to-man because Michigan does not play as much man-to-man as they used to because Ohio State has exploited it so much. But one time Michigan State caught them in man-to-man on a 3rd down, had Naylor open, and Lombardi missed him by inches. Maybe the receiver could have caught it through his fingertips, not sure. But if he catches that one, they're in the red zone and Michigan State's rolling there in the second quarter. Naylor was good, can get better. I like the way they're using him on fly sweeps. Ricky White, when Michigan State was going deep to him, and then he was open one other time and they missed him. And I was not here in the big house. Hey, Nils, let me let you go, okay, buddy? Thanks for calling.
Call from. To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail.
All right, Michael in Oakland, hold on a second. I know you've been calling. I appreciate how patient you are. And how many times you've
okay.
The patience you've had. Thank you. But when I was not here at the big house, in 1978 when Eddie Smith and Kurt Gibson and those guys came in here and beat them 24-15 or whatever it was. But, the word was back then, Eddie Smith did not play in the season opener against Purdue. They lost. Then they went out west and played a great Southern Cal team and lost. Started getting it together, played Michigan, first play of the game, deep. Kurt Gibson was wide open. Eddie Smith overthrew him, incomplete. For people that were there, legend has it that people didn't throw the ball a lot in the Big Ten in 1978, but it sent a message that we got a dude that you can't cover right now, and we're going to throw it. And Michigan State controlled that game from start to finish and was dominant in the Big Ten from that point forward. I'm not sure this team is capable of that. I'm not saying that. But if I had been here in 78, I should have asked Ebling because I'm sure he was there. I wonder if he would draw a connection to that. Probably not as pronounced. But that was what was going through my mind, is that was kind of like a Kurt Gibson moment a little bit with Ricky White early and that 40-yarder early in the game, and then they kept going to it with him and Naylor, and really surprised Michigan with that. And I'm just wondering how much the deep ball is going to be part of this offense going forward. We've known a lot about Rocky Lombardi in the last couple of years. Last week he showed decent game management, better accuracy coming into this game, and the pre-snap read. I talked about the possibility of going deep, but we didn't know if Rocky Lombardi had deep pass accuracy. We found out today he does have deep pass accuracy. That changes some things. And like Rocky Lombardi says, we got dogs all over the place making plays. We got talent. We didn't know about Ricky White. I knew he had potential. I didn't know he could do this. All right. Is your name Michael in Oakland? Michael?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm in Santa Clara, California.
And your name's Michael?
Correct.
Michael, welcome to SpartanMag Live. I appreciate your patience. I know you've tried 3 or 4 or 5 times. Anyway, what's on your mind? What do you think about tonight?
Yeah, well, first, thanks for having me. So watching the game, apparent that the wide receiver position is going to be a area of strength. But I'm wondering, do you think that Jaden Reed, Jalen Naylor, and who's the other wide receiver? Ricky White, of course. Do you think all 3 are going to start? Or do you think they're all going to start throughout the year? Or are we going to see a tall red zone target like Trayvon Morgan emerge? Because I see that they're all similar receiver.
And Trayvon Morgan played today for the first time in his career. Trayvon Morgan was on the kickoff return team as an up back, as a lineman, as a blocker, depending on what team you are and what the terminology is. They call those guys different things. But Trayvon Morgan, for those of you that are Michigan State fans that are not familiar with him, redshirt freshman from Ohio, was hurt all last year, had a huge senior year in high school, became a 4-star recruit. Junior year in high school, he was injured the whole time. The guy's about 6'7", muscular, the biggest wide receiver you've ever seen in your life. Impressive looking guy. Great high school film. Did not hear much about him last year. Have not heard much about him this year. And boom, he's on the travel team. Boom, he's on special teams. So maybe he's getting closer to getting on the field. So right now, of course, you've got Jalen Naylor. You've got Jaden Reed. Michigan put a lot of attention on Jaden Reed today. That helped open things up for Ricky White. Now you got to worry about White. Now you're getting into a little bit of a pick your poison situation with the receivers. Michigan State's not quite on offense pick your poison all the way around. They don't have the great run game complement to go with it, and the tight ends are still coming around. But they got a quarterback and they got some receivers that can go deep, and some receivers that can go over the middle for a dig or a slant and catch it in traffic. And I tell you what, they've got the offensive game plan today. I thought they performed some surgery on that Michigan defense a little bit today. So they've got part of it, and that's going to make that game in Iowa City next weekend really interesting, because Iowa's 0-2, and that's going to be a program game of sorts for Iowa, so that ship doesn't sink, because they've had a lot of problems off the field, and they are backed into a corner. So Iowa next week is going to be about like Michigan State was this week in some ways.
Yeah, I was actually wondering about that too, because they lost I think Northwestern came back on them right behind 17 points. So that's going to be an interesting game to watch to see if Michigan State grows from this game again, or we maintain, or if there is a step back in that Iowa game.
You talking about Michigan State, if they grow from this, or if Iowa grows from this? I was reading
if they will be able to grow, considering that Iowa is kind of on the rope. So, they're going to bring everything they have versus Michigan State might be riding a little high considering the huge program win for Mel Tucker.
Absolutely. And that's the thing about Iowa. And I think it was last year, Iowa was the team that knocked off Minnesota, and it did not surprise me at all. When you go out there and you see what Kinnick is all about, and I was out there the one time, I've been out there a few times, but one time when Michigan State was 8-0, when D'Antonio was the best start D'Antonio had, Cousins was the quarterback, and Michigan State was good, rising in the rankings, getting a little full of themselves. I don't want to say full of themselves, but not really. They weren't really, Michigan State wasn't experienced in being in that position. And I don't think they've been 8-0 since. D'Antonio had, I guess he went 10-0 later. But anyway, my point is, you go out to Iowa, and Iowa was like 5-2, just kind of solid, just kind of respectable, right? But you go out there as an 8-0 team, and that's where 8-0 teams go to die if they don't really have their stuff buckled down, because it's a program win for Iowa to beat you. Not that it's a program win to beat you, it's that their program, their Iowa program beats you. You go out there and, those fans are on top of you. They don't make mistakes. They're physical. And there's sometimes when Iowa gets into a rhythm and they kind of, save their own planet a little bit. Now Iowa's 0-2. Michigan State's riding high. Beware of my colleague Ricardo Cooney at SpartanMag.com calls Iowa City the house of horrors, because bad things happen to unsuspecting opponents when they walk in there. So that'll be a different one. But like Konadike said today in the SpartanMag.com VCast, that's going to be a homecoming for Rocky Lombardi. Didn't work out so great for Lewerke when he went to Arizona, but Lombardi going back home to Iowa next week, that's an interesting subplot as well.
Indeed. I want to ask a question about the defense really quick.
Yeah.
One, I'm pretty high on Kaylon Gervin since he's coming to the program.
Good today.
I thought he looked
best
good
day.
today.
His best game was today. Yeah, best game he's had.
And then two, yeah,
and they tested him. They tested him deep, and he was equal to the task.
Yes, yeah. And then also Shakir Brown is a hitter.
He hits.
I thought I saw blowing some guys up. I was really impressed.
All right. Anything else, Michael?
Nope. Thank you.
Appreciate you calling,
Call
Michael.
from
Cali Spartan.
To accept, press 1.
All right, we're going to go back out to the Motor City, Detroit, Michigan. Cali Spartan. What's going on, Cali Spartan?
Comp, man, I am peeled back right now.
As you should be. You deserve it. You deserve it. You deserve it.
Didn't you see my post? I spoke on this. Didn't I claim this week?
Yeah, you did. At SpartanMag.com, you said, what were your exact words?
I said, I don't know my exact words, man. I'm deep, man. I'm deep into whiskey right now.
Okay.
But I basically said that we need to choose what type of fan base we gonna be. Mm-hmm. Now, them boys did what they supposed to do. Did they get the W, Comp?
They got the W.
Comp, say it again. Did we get the W?
They got the W.
Oh, okay. So all I need to know is, so the people who were saying it was the dumpster fire last week, no, I'm not going to even get on that. We won. We put those skunk, I'm not going to cuss in your live,
okay.
We put those skunk people in the trash like they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
We won. There was no trick plays, nothing. We threw the ball. We did exactly what we were supposed to do. Number 4 on Michigan was garbage. And we kept throwing at him and throwing at him and throwing at him. And he was garbage all day. And they did what they were supposed to do. Ricky White looked like Julio Jones out there.
Well, he's not as big, but he was a tough cover today.
It was incredible. I'm sitting out here. I'm sitting. I'm watching with Grandpa. From the me and him do the show every week. And on Saturday we pop over some Uncle Nearest, which is that Jack Daniels whiskey, man. Okay. And I'm drinking. I'm deep. And I'm like, the first touchdown we get, I'm like, okay, that's cool. Ricky White caught us a good pass to catch. Rocky looking solid. And then Michigan scores, and then I'm starting to get a little deep in the whiskey, so I'm like, oh, here we go. I think it's going to snowball, right? Next thing you know, I'm sitting here, and I'm like, wait a minute. We score again.
Never let up. Never let up. Never flinched.
Yeah, I'm like, our defense is handling business. We're not all world. We're not shutting them down completely, but people are hitting our spots. People are tackling people are doing what they're supposed to do. So, like, halftime happens, and I'm like, oh, we're in this game. So here I am. Now, mind you, we opened a fresh bottle, right? Like, not like a fifth, or no, we opened a fresh bottle. And I'm sitting here, and we're like halfway through the bottle, and I'm looking at my grandpa. I'm like, we might mess around and win this game. So I'm sitting here, and I'm looking, and then, you know, we're not really running the ball, but what we're doing is effectively putting ourselves for short passes, right?
Yeah.
We don't have to always dive it deep. But what did they do? They kept attacking number 4, and they kept attacking them deep. And I'm just like, hey, man, don't even talk to me. Just keep doing it. They kept throwing at them.
That was NFL-type stuff, where Michigan State thought they had an edge there coming in. That was clear. I mean, Strayhorn was talking about it during the broadcast, Jason Strayhorn, because they're privy to some of the game planning. Michigan State thought they had advantages there, went to it early, saw that, yes, we do have an advantage, and just stayed on it. You know, that's, you know, NFL, they find matchups, and they keep going at it. And refreshing.
And what's wild is their DBs are all taller and longer than our wide receivers. Not one of them turned around.
Yeah,
like, the ball was there.
Yeah, Green is
the
like 6'2".
The ball was there to get intercepted. The ball was there to get intercepted, but they just kept Rocky. Like, I, you know what? I haven't seen passing like that from a wide receiver. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm still soft. I haven't seen a passing drive like that for a whole game since Connor Cook versus Iowa for the 9-minute drive. Like, he was surgical. Like, when he needed to put it on somebody for a first down or for a touchdown, it was there, and it was remarkable. I'm sitting here, I'm waiting for the shooter drop, and like they just kept doing it. They kept hitting it, and I'm sitting here, and the clock kicked 0, and like, you know, it was some questionable refereeing near the end because they're like, oh, we were just supposed to help you. We weren't supposed to help Michigan State win. But I'm not going to get into that. I'm sorry. I'm just having fun. But you mean to tell me we won this game, Kyle? And we did? It's about to be some because we weren't supposed to win this game. After Rutgers, you're not supposed to do nothing. We're supposed to be 0-8. But now everything's opened up, and like I said a few weeks ago, we have the pieces to win some games. We have the pieces to be in these games. Like in my opinion, Rutgers and Michigan have decent defenses. The fact that we're able to throw against them and all their exotic blitzes and all their coverages and everything like that, and Rocky had back-to-back 300-plus passing games, and these weren't short passes, right? Like against Michigan, he was like, 17 for 30-something? So that means he's going 10-plus every pass on average. So I'm
not seeing any near mistakes either. It's one thing about Connor Cook. Connor Cook would scare you with some near mistakes on a frequent basis and get away with them. I mean, I'm seeing good decisions. And today I saw once or twice nobody's open. He threw it out of bounds, just threw it away. Once or twice last week he might have held on to it a little too long. But the decision making is good. You know, Rocky Lombardi, as we were always told when he first came in here, his dad was a coach. He's been watching film since he was in diapers, but didn't have really all the throwing mechanics together. He said he went home and all, you know, worked on it. And sometimes it's hard for quarterbacks, it's my experience, it's hard for quarterbacks to improve their accuracy. It's almost like arm strength. Some guys either have it or they don't. I mean, you can work on mechanics and that type of thing. But he's worked on his accuracy, and it shows. You combine that with some experience and that wrestler persona. He's not afraid of anything. And you add that accuracy and that son of a coach background, and what you got right now is a quarterback you can win with. And if you add a run game,
absolutely.
You add a run game to this, it's a pretty good football team.
I mean, now to get on the defensive side, I'm going to make a proclamation. Jalen Hunt is taking somebody's starting spot before the season's over.
Proclamation. Ring the bell for a proclamation. Jalen Hunt, says the Motor City Hitman, this is Cali Spartan, is going to take somebody's job. You like Jalen Hunt today?
Dude, man, I don't. Jalen, was Jalen Hunt? So there was a clip we were watching live. A Michigan player. This was even during a play or anything. It was just like they're standing around and near each other. A Michigan player, I think, either shoved him or Mallory. And my grandfather looked at me. He was like, he shouldn't. And he looked at me dead in my face and said, they shouldn't have did that. And for the rest of the game, Mallory and Hunt were just, they were monsters. But
what point of the game was that? When was that? When did that happen?
I think this was like the second quarters or third quarter. Like, if you watch it again, I'm sure you will. Yeah. If you recorded it, you'll see there's a clip of it where some of the Michigan offensive linemen were just like they were like shoving one of our defensive linemen, and he was either Hunt or Mallory.
All right.
And I'm sitting, and my grandfather looked at me and they're like, they shouldn't have did that. And like, lo and behold, if you look at the stat sheet, Mallory and Hunt were doing business, man. They were back there. They were doing the business. They were making Milton look uncomfortable.
Everybody was together today. It was one big family in that Michigan State sideline. They had a lot to prove. They were disrespected last year when Michigan won the game. And I saw something, Trayvon Morgan posted something on Twitter. I'm not sure if Michigan State's going to be tweeting a lot. I kind of hope they don't. I mean, it's their prerogative. They can if they want. I thought, well, we'll see what Michigan State does. But I thought it was despicable last year. Michigan won the game, and the gloating they did on social media. You can do that. I understand social media, sticks and stones or big boys and all that stuff, except for this fact. Okay, college football is a major mainstream sport. It's arguably the number 2 sport in the United States of America behind the NFL. It's up there with the NBA, Major League Baseball, major sport. I have never seen a team in any of the major sports in this country. I've never seen a team with its players go to social media and gloat and taunt the way Michigan's players did last year after they beat Michigan State. I thought it was repulsive. I thought it was disgusting. I thought it was classless. I thought, and they can be that way if they want, but it's bad for college football. It's bad example for the youth, for young athletes in the state of Michigan. Just like when those idiots for Baylor, when Art Briles was coaching there, and they would get a lead on somebody, and they'd get around the 50-yard line and point and taunt across the field like, we're beating you by 20, we're beating you by 30. Yeah, they were good. Shut up and sit down. We're beating you by 40. They started pulling that against Michigan State, so Michigan State started doing it back to them, which I guess you do when that's happening. Michigan State came back and won, and Tony Lippett almost killed that one dude on the kick return. But Art Briles, who's since it's been revealed is complete scum. All right, Baylor can do that. I don't care about Baylor's stupid little university down there. They can be idiots if they want to. The problem is that youth players in the state of Texas see that and think that's the way you're supposed to be. And if you watch guys in Texas now, you watch the Longhorns a little bit or some teams, they do that. And Baylor started it. Schembechler was a good coach, and I give him a hard time on a lot of things. But Schembechler and Hayes, Dan Devine, and even Paterno and those guys, they played football a certain way. You played hard, you knock someone down, maybe you help them up, but you don't gloat over it. And Schembechler would have never gone for that, what the Michigan players were doing. And it's bad for college football. It's bad for youth sports. And it was disgusting. And if I were just calling it neutrally as a college football observer, the bad guys lost today, and they deserved it. I don't know if Michigan State's going to gloat on social media. I kind of hope that they don't, because it'd be better for college football and the rivalry if they stood away from that. But Michigan's the only major sports team that I've seen where the players went on social media and did that. And Michigan State's players remembered that. And we'll wait and see if they do anything like that. Another area where that's dangerous also is if you start doing that and that just feeds the fire and just gets a little too much, and the next thing you know, you've got a deal like Clemson against South Carolina on your hands when you've got a brawl on the field, which happens on some of those rivalries down south sometimes. This was close to being there. It's gone too far. And now that Michigan State's won this game, Michigan State won the game, and they went right out the tunnel and celebrated. They didn't point, they didn't gloat, they didn't taunt. I know that Shakur Brown was flagged for taunting the one time. He in my opinion, he accidentally ended up over the guy a little bit, and he did do too much. But there was no taunting after the victory, which I thought was a good move by Michigan State, showing some class and victory. So far, we'll see if they continue to do it, and I hope they do with Twitter. Because what Michigan did last year, Schembechler would have never gone for that. What Michigan did last year on Twitter was classless and bad for college football.
Tom, let me say this before I get off.
What's up?
Do you remember the show? You remember the movie The Gray?
No.
It's with Liam Neeson, where he was taking these people out in the woods and they got eaten by wolves and stuff.
Sounds like a good one.
So there was this scene in the movie where one of his friends got his leg caught when he was crossing the stream. They didn't realize how deep it was. And like he fell into the water and his leg got caught between these rocks. And literally his face was like an inch from being out of the water and he drowned. And that's essentially what we did to Michigan today. They were so close and they just drowned and died. That is literally how we beat them. We didn't have to be all flashy. We literally showed them we were better than you and we don't have to blow you out. You were just nothing. And that's how it was. They just withered for like the entire, once they realized after the first half and they're like, oh, we're not ahead. They just collapsed. You can look at how they played the game. They started to play scared. Milton started to freelance it, and then we won the game. So that's all I'm saying. I'll call back in, Comparoni, to keep on celebrating, man. You have a good one.
All right, you have a great celebration tonight, and thanks for the movie review and the film appreciation essay also. Hey, give us a call. We've got lines open now. We had some callers earlier, and I was unable to get to those calls, but the lines are open now. We had a call from Troy. We had a call from Vermont. Had a call from Virginia. I can only take one call at a time. Go on ahead, give us a call. We'd love to hear from you here on SpartanMag Live. Give us a thumbs up in the meantime. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And also, if you're not familiar with SpartanMag.com, get over there. Try a 30-day trial if you've never been a SpartanMag.com subscriber. Got an article up right now. Konadyk's got an article up.
Call from
Richard from Hazlitt.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
All right, Richard, what we got here?
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2. Call from
Ramiro.
To accept, press 1.
Hey, Ramiro, hold on a second. Hey, Richard from Hazlitt, I apologize. I dropped your call. I hit the wrong button. Call back. Hopefully you can get on. My apologies. Thank you. Ramiro, turn your radio down a little bit.
It's down.
Ramiro, what is going on? Don Ramiro, the Prez, ladies and gentlemen. It's good to see you.
But likewise, Compass Maximus, man. I am so flying high today. This was Father Comparoni, forgive me for I have sinned. I lost my faith in Michigan State football, and I used Connor Hayward's name in vain. So you give me my
that's a lesson.
My
that's a lesson to you.
Let me know what I got to do.
It's a lesson to you and everybody out there. You never close the door on a young man. A lot of you were guilty of closing the door on a guy named Eric Snow a long time ago. And,
yes.
And probably closed the door on Connor Cook a long time ago. Sometimes young athletes can improve a little bit. Hey, sometimes young athletes can improve a little bit. I'm not saying Connor Hayward is Franco Harris, if I can date myself a little bit, but he's a useful engine, to quote Thomas the Train, those of you that have kids. Pass protection, getting tough yards now. He never used to get those tough yards. You know he's capable because he's got those size, right? But the hands are you combine the pass pro with the hands. That's useful because he can stay in if there's a blitz or get out into a route if there's not a blitz. And with dependable hands and some yards after the catch. That is useful. But you can't always throw the ball if he's on the field. You have to run him sometimes because you don't want the defense knowing, okay, Hayward's on the field, 85% chance they're throwing. He has to stay on the field as a run threat sometimes so that you can have equal tendencies. But he's coming along, and he had a big play today, and he was solid as a rock on that onside kick.
Well, we have some sophomores as O-linemen that are playing, so as they develop, that O-line is going to open up the holes necessary for Connor Hayward. He's just got to improve his vision. But I'm curious, a couple things. Number one, what did you see from the O-line as far as the improvement from week 1 to week 2? And what do you think this game means for the head guy down the road?
Wow.
Because I'm looking all over the media, and there's some unhappy weasels out there, but I'm interested in your take on that.
There are some unhappy weasels. Interesting way to put it. The O-line, I've not had a chance to look at them closely yet. I'll look at the I'll look at the film, I'll look at the tape tomorrow probably. I usually watch coverages when I'm watching the game live, and then I'll watch the replay. It was hard to watch replays today. I wasn't near a TV. It was difficult. But I certainly didn't see them springing any leaks. They did not give up any sacks, and Michigan's got a good pass rush, and they complement that with some intricate pressures. But Rocky got knocked down a couple times, nothing major. Run blocking was better. I think Nick Samak is an improvement at center, I think. I'll have to look to see how Buter did at left guard. Buter really struggled last week. I thought Duplain was better than Buter last week. I expected Duplain to start this week. Duplain did play, but offensive line overall, they might not have been like a dominant force, but they certainly were not the weakness they were last week. In terms of what area improved the most from week 1 to week 2, it was the offensive line. No question about it. The head man, Mel Tucker, like I said earlier, he was a boss today. Boss. Good plan, executed it calmly, geared it down at the end of the first half. To me, that showed that he felt that he had Michigan's offense contained. He was like, let's not make a mistake here on our own 25-yard line. We're up 14-10. It's halftime. Let's take it in a half. We'll come back out, kick it off to them, make them go 3 and out, play defense. We'll take back control. It's clear that he didn't feel like he needed to score 40 points to win today. I think they felt like they had, Milton made some plays, but nothing explosive. So they throttled it back a little bit for 2 drives at the end of the first half and then went right back to the game plan in the second half. It was methodical. It was intentional. It was relentless. And if you're Rayshawn Benny, a recruit, watching in Oak Park, Michigan today, sometimes recruits, when they watch a game, they find themselves rooting for one team or the other when the 2 teams that they are considering are playing against each other. Sometimes they're surprised by themselves that they're rooting for one team over the other. He announced he's a 4-star top 100 lineman and a dandy. Looking at Michigan State, and maybe Kentucky. Are you done, Ramiro?
I think the choice is pretty obvious for Mr. Benny, and it's going to be interesting to see how things develop for Harbaugh in the coming days and weeks, because Indiana is no duck walk. I'm definitely going to have an eye on that game too, but go green. I've
never been to a duck walk. It sounds like something Chuck Berry would do, actually. Anyway, we had some other calls calling in. Kalamazoo, Lansing, Hazlitt. Give me a call. Lines are open now. You kind of have to explain this earlier, but I can't really take a call and put you on deck. It's the way it works. Here's Lansing calling in now.
Call from. To accept.
Lansing, Michigan, you're on the air.
Yeah, this is Richard.
Richard
from Hazlitt.
Thanks. Welcome to SpartanMag Live.
So I would say one of my players that I really was impressed with was 2 for 3 Matt Coughlin with that 51-yard kick there. That's the way we expect seniors to kind of step up on their senior year.
Career high. Was that the one that put Michigan State up 17-14? Big momentum builder with the wind, and he kicked well at Rutgers last week also. Missed the one into the wind that could have put them up by 6, but they've got confidence going to him, that's for sure.
Yeah, I that impressed me, and then of course the O-line with no sacks. We were just talking about that, but that's a big deal. That's a big deal.
Absolutely. Our Curry must have had a good game again. I'll have to zero in on him when I watch the film, and he must have. And he was good last week in pass protection. He was good last year in pass protection. Only played about 6 games because he had injuries, but needed to improve his run blocking. And I think our Curry is a good player in the making there on the left side. And Rocky Lombardi, every time he was dropped back into the pocket, Lombardi had a lot of confidence. Pocket presence, no happy feet right now, and things are looking good, Richard.
Oh, I'm excited. Go green.
All right, thanks for calling in. There goes Richard. Kalamazoo, you were calling earlier. Go.
Call from.
Ed.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2. To call from.
Nicholas.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press.
Hey, Nicholas, we got you. Hey, Ed from Reno, Nevada. I apologize. I think we dropped you. Kind of fumbled that one. Call back. Appreciate you calling in from Reno. We've got Ed. Hey, when you call in and you say who you are, also I want to hear where you're from when you get Ruby there talking to you. Are you Ed or who are you again?
This is Nicholas from Newaygo.
Nicholas from Newaygo. What's going on? Newaygo's getting up there. There's a trout stream up that way, isn't there?
Oh, there's a few of them.
Wow.
There's a few of them. Hey, I just had a comment and a question for you. And I'll take your comments off the air. So just watching the game today, man, I can't remember, was it Jeff Smoker the last time we were going over the top like that? I mean, it's been a minute since we've had, since we've seen that as consistently as we've seen in a game like we did today. And I mean, is that receivers? Is our receiving core getting that that distance from their backs? Is that quarterback? Is that scheme? I don't know. I'm just curious as to your thoughts on that.
It's a great question. It's a little bit of both. There's some talent there. Ricky White, slippery. I'd been hearing, Big Mooby, Ron Armstrong on SpartanMag.com message board and SpartanMag.com contributor. He was saying that he was hearing, that the route running was improving and separation was happening. Now you hear that in practice and you're like, well, is that bad for the defense? But now you're seeing, okay, there is something to that. I think that Courtney Hawkins must be doing a good job with them. And I think that the scheme is part of it. I didn't really look closely at the route combinations. When I go back over the game, I'll look to see if there are some things where you get them leaning one way and come back with something else. But it's got to be a little bit of everything. The quarterback is accurate also. I didn't anticipate Lombardi being this good. But yeah, Smoker, he had some surgical moments for sure. He was a pure thrower. I never would have thought that I would consider Lombardi a pure thrower, and he's not. But he's becoming a multifaceted gamer, And yeah, that aerial game today against heretofore has been a very good passing, a very good pass defense.
Ben Chi.
To accept, press 1.
Ben in Kalamazoo, hold on a second. Well, up to this point, Michigan's pass defense has been excellent over the years. Ranked among the top in the country in terms of fewest yards allowed, per pass attempt over and over and over. Today, the flags came out. The officials calling Michigan for pass interference and holding in the secondary. A lot of Michigan State people and other coaches from around the Big Ten would think that that's about 5 or 6 years overdue. That's the way they've taught it. They've gotten away with it. The theory is that the officials are not going to call that more than once or twice. Well, they called it 3 times. Maybe could have called it a 4th time. Brian Lewerke had a funny tweet saying, hey, it looks like the officials are finally calling that. Michigan's been doing it for years. But anyway, Kalamazoo, Michigan, you're on Spartan Mag Live. What's going on?
Hey, Jim, how's it going?
Great. Appreciate you chiming in. And we've got some content over at SpartanMag.com right now. When the show is over, go on over there and you'll get the post-game Zoom interviews, the initial article that I wrote. Konerdijk's got an article going on Ricky White. Ricardo Cooney's going to do an article on Antoine Simmons. And after I'm done here, I'll probably I've got some articles I'm going to do and invite everybody to become a SpartanMag.com subscriber if you're not already. What's going on in Kalamazoo tonight?
Hey, Jim, I'm a first-time caller. I've been listening for probably over a year or so, but
awesome.
I just ecstatic tonight, and I just wanted to make a couple points. I think MSU really had to just play a perfect game today. I mean, there's really no other way around it. I mean, I don't think they win that game if they have 1 or 2 turnovers or anything like that. Penalties were low. Defensively, they didn't really get beat, and obviously a huge win for Mel Tucker. I mean, I give him a lot of credit. He obviously he needed this win big time because after a game like that to Rutgers, people just start to doubt. And I wasn't calling for him to be fired, but I was starting to doubt and wondering if he can keep the energy up. But also, I want to say to the people who think that Mark D'Antonio, left him a bad program. I don't know if first year coach could come in and win a game like that. For a program that was, in horrible shape or whatever. But I think you got to give Mark D'Antonio a little bit of credit today too, because
that game kind of reminded me of a D'Antonio game, to be honest with you.
The physicality on defense was something I'm sure D'Antonio was proud of. The multiplicity of coverages were things they didn't do a lot of. They would do it here and there. They'd run their quarters, and they would get into man-to-man late in games, and if they blitzed, they did cover 3. That's what they normally did. I mean, Barnett's last year, they did more cover 2. But D'Antonio, I'm sure, had a great appreciation for the varied coverages Michigan State did while remaining on the same page with no mental busts out there. The physical hitting. Michigan State tackled pretty well. A couple of tackles got away. That's going to happen here and there. But Michigan's got a lot of talent, and State came out, kicked him in the gut and just stayed on it. I mean, Michigan State, I thought, was the better team from start to finish. Michigan had their moments. It was not a TKO. It could have been a couple plays if they'd have went a little differently. Michigan State might have gained more separation and won by double digits. Also, a couple of plays if they'd have went differently, Michigan could have changed things a little bit. But Michigan State, I thought, from start to finish, was consistently the slightly better team. Neither team made mistakes. Michigan State didn't make mistakes, but Michigan didn't turn it over either. Michigan had more penalties. There was some D'Antonio branding in there, and of course Tucker's from the D'Antonio Saban tree, so there is some lineage there. They are related football wise.
All right, well that's all I got for today, Jim. But I think I'm definitely going to call in, start making it a regular thing. I think you have really just in-depth content, and I appreciate it. When I first heard of SpartanMag, I never looked too deep into, where the players come from, the backstories, the coaches' tendencies, all these background things I really had no idea about. So I just wanted to give you props for that.
Thank you.
But I'll hang up and listen now.
So you're a SpartanMag.com subscriber?
I am. I'm not as religious as I should be. I don't get in there as frequently, but when I see your lot on live, I like to go ahead and put it on.
Awesome,
it's
man.
Good. It's good. It's just good intel.
Awesome. I appreciate you, man. Thanks a lot. You have a great night.
Call from
Ed from Reno.
To accept, press 1. To send a voice.
Ed from Reno, Nevada, the biggest little town in America, right, Ed?
You got it.
How's it going in Reno?
How you doing?
I'm doing great. I think all the
Awesome.
Spartans all over the country are doing great tonight.
Oh, you bet. Hey, I just have one thing to say. I don't know if very many people caught the comment, but Gus Johnson said something to Joe Clapp about how many tackles does Simmons have. And Joe Clapp's response was, he has all of them. And I think that kind of tells the story of how well that kid played.
Good line. Good in the run game, good against the pass, but also a leader. I mean, like I said, Antoine Simmons is good for college football and very good for this team right now. Coming off that game with Rutgers, he helped keep them together, helped get them sharpened up for what they went out on the field in Ann Arbor and did today. Antoine Simmons.
Yeah, I have a question for you too. Somewhere down the line, I'd like to know if Ricky White has a track background. If he ran track in high school,
I believe he did at some point. I don't know if he did last spring, but I'm trying to think what I've written about him in the past. But I think so, because he's got some feet, right?
Definitely.
And hands, and he's got some football toughness. And you've got Jordan Simmons out there, Shakur Brown, and Ricky White, all from Georgia. And Michigan State did a really good job recruiting last year, getting Ricky White and Jordan Simmons. And when they got that commitment from Simmons, I mean, Simmons was going back and forth, and D'Antonio retired right around the time he signed, and that was a difficult one. Then Mel Tucker comes in and had those guys believing that they made the right decision, and they got to be liking life a little bit right now. They're having a big impact on this program as talented true freshmen out of Georgia right now.
Yeah, I cannot. I'm 70 years old, and I've been following Michigan State since I was elementary school. And I cannot recall such a dramatic change from one game to the next
I can't either.
by a Michigan State team.
I can't either. It's unbelievable. And, when I wrote the pre-snap read game preview, obviously Michigan State needed to make that type of improvement. And I was joking around and saying, I don't know what kind of fairy tale you'd have to believe in to think that that could happen, or what kind of, pixie dust you would need from a fairy godfather to make that happen. But I'm joking about that. But they found it. Offensive line, especially on the offensive line. And of course, ball security. The ball security thing they were doing this week, I mean, he's always been preaching ball security, but they did more and more drills. But there's a mental exercise to that also, it's all about, doing those little things, attention to detail, to make your team, or to make us, as they would have thought amongst themselves, to make us as good as we can be, because we need to be there. We need to be that. Otherwise, we could get embarrassed by our rivals again like last year. So there's like a survival thing, going on collectively, which can lead to some really good practices. And when they're just focusing on ball security, that permeates to other parts of practice. And Drew Beasley comes out last Thursday and said it was the most focused, intense practice week he had ever seen for Michigan week. And Michigan practice week is always intense and focused. And for a fifth-year senior to say that was like, whoa. And then they go out and play like that, and it's like, oh, okay. So coaching, leadership, some athletes to make it happen, but really, if you're a Michigan State fan, a lot to be proud of for your football team right now.
Thanks so much, Jim.
Hey, thanks for calling in. That means the line is open. Go ahead and call in if you want to join the fun. Let me check some comments here lately. What kind of comments we have coming in? Larry Frank says, so what did that recruit from Oak Park have to say? He's not said anything, but the recruit from Oak Park, Rayshawn Benny, top 100, excellent lineman, excellent offensive lineman and defensive lineman. Michigan State looking at him primarily as a defensive lineman. He's worth his ranking. I don't say that about everybody. So he was considered a Michigan lean for a long time, and then Michigan State was busy with him a lot. Mel Tucker calling him every other, or being on the phone with him every other day, whether, reaching out, hey, give me a call, that type of thing. One way or another, they were communicating. Rayshawn Benny thought a lot of Mel Tucker. He was impressed with that, and Michigan State was making more and more progress. And he was planning to make a decision last week, but it became news when he announced that he was not making a decision. Because a lot of people thought, wow, well, that's not good for the perceived leader. Michigan was the perceived leader. If he's delaying his decision, that's probably good for Michigan State because they're closing quickly. Then Michigan State went out and did what they did against Rutgers. Michigan did what they did against Minnesota. And then Rayshawn Benny mentioned that this week he said he's going to go ahead and make a decision, I think November 9th. So a lot of people thought that could mean that he was not impressed with Michigan State last week. And you wouldn't think that one particular football game would have that big of an impact on a recruitment, except in this case, you've got Mel Tucker just starting, so new into his tenure that if you're Rayshawn Benny and you're looking, you're trying to envision yourself in a certain program, yes, you are going to take that into consideration, into great consideration, what the team looks like when they're actually on the field, what the product looks like. And the timing of his decision to come forward and say he's ready to make a decision November, reading between the lines, a lot of people thought that looked good for Michigan. He's not said anything since then that I've seen today, but I'm just wondering, a big recruit, because Michigan State go after the same recruits every so often, and that's the one that's on the front burner right now. And I'm just curious, Rayshawn Benny, when he was watching that game today, did he find himself involuntarily rooting for one team over another, which happens sometimes for uncommitted recruits? I think that happened with Aaron Henry. Aaron Young, the running back at Rutgers. A couple of years ago, he was a commitment to Michigan State. His brother played for Rutgers. He came to Spartan Stadium and watched Michigan State play as a Michigan State commitment. His brother's playing for Rutgers, and his brother got into a little altercation with a Michigan State corner, Josh Butler. So if you're Aaron Young in the stands, I mean, come on, who are you rooting for? You're going to root for your brother. Your brother's playing for Rutgers. The guy from Michigan State's giving him a hard time. Yeah, he stayed committed for Michigan State for a couple more weeks, but he ended up flipping to Rutgers. That was not a surprise. But as he watched that game, he found himself rooting for Rutgers, understandably so. Anyway, give us a call. We've got open lines right now. We've had a lot of callers, and we've had to turn away a lot of callers. I feel bad about that. That's just kind of the way we are set up. Give us a call, Spartan Mag Live. In the meantime, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, go to SpartanMag.com, become a SpartanMag.com member. If you go over there right now, you can get 30-day free trial. Try us out, 30 days for free, and you will like. If you're here watching this stuff, then you like SpartanMag.com. You will like it. Go on over there and check it out. Cartero 917 says Keon Coleman had a Michigan State sweatshirt on and posted something on Twitter about our win earlier. Does this mean anything? It's not a bad thing. It's a receiver from Louisiana, if I'm not mistaken, that Michigan State was recruiting earlier. He decommitted from another school. Michigan State's back at it, and I expect Michigan State to have a presence in Georgia, Louisiana, and New Jersey going forward. Audric Estime had a good game today in New Jersey, and when Rutgers beat Michigan State last week, that was bad business for Michigan State. He's committed to Michigan State. Rutgers is still going after him, and as they should, Rutgers really used that result against Michigan State and for Rutgers, and he's listening to them. And Michigan State's got a lot of work to do to keep Audric Estime as a commitment. But what happened today helps a lot, beating Michigan on Fox and Rutgers struggling with Indiana. And I've not watched Indiana yet. I didn't watch the Penn State game either. I'm looking forward to watching Indiana. I'm not surprised they're playing this well. Surprise team in Big Ten East. So give us a call. You see the number right there. We got open lines. Come on, people. We had people, guys from Vermont, guys from various places. If you want to give us a call, let us know. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and shut it down. Be going for an hour and a half. I got some work to do. Let's see. Blair Kerr, want to let you know that I posted the VCast over at SpartanMag.com. It's over on the Underground Bunker message board right now. You can check that out after we're done here. Manuel says, I think our first game, Michigan really tried to game plan for Reed. He is a burner kid and is electric. I think you're right, and I think Paul Konerdijk over at SpartanMag.com made that point, that Jaden Reed had such a good game against Rutgers. If you're Michigan, that's the guy you want to take away. And Michigan's pretty good at taking someone away. They kept a lid on Bateman for the most part in that Minnesota game, but Reed was quiet today, but that left White in some single coverage, and Michigan State was able to take advantage.
Call from.
That's what we got here.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Let's go out to Atlanta, Georgia. Welcome to Spartan Mag Live.
Yeah, this is Brad in Austin, Texas.
Brad in Austin, Texas. What's going on, Brad? Your phone? I thought the caller ID said Atlanta when it came in. Maybe you used to have a phone in Atlanta or something. I don't know. Brad from Austin, Texas.
Yeah, Jim. Great day. For all Spartan fans throughout the state of Michigan, throughout the United States. It was a long time coming. Last couple of years, were tough, but just a great day. I think a lot of your callers did a great job. I think we all got our top three, but a couple development stories. Really liked the fact that Morgan got in the game, as you indicated, and big number 71 got in. I thought that was good to see from a development standpoint.
Talking about James Ohanba, I think he's a redshirt sophomore now from Georgia. He was a 4-star offensive line recruit, and I had never heard. You have to turn your radio down a little bit there. It's okay. But Ohanba, we didn't hear anything about him during his redshirt year. And then last year, did not hear anything about him. And then during preseason camp, did not hear anything about him. When that happens, usually the guy is not making much progress, and usually they don't end up making it on the field. When I say we didn't hear anything about him, when I interview coaches, usually I don't ask about those players, because if you ask, how's Ohanba doing, they'll tell you, oh, he's doing good, when he might not be. I wait for coaches to bring the players up first. And then it's a story. And then, once they get on the field and become a player, then you can ask a little bit about Ricky White and things like that. But in terms of the developmental level, I don't ask about those players, because I think I've found that to be the most accurate way to get a read on what's going on at the developmental level. So I never heard the coaches, offensive coordinator, offensive line coaches the last 2 years mention him. And he didn't make he wasn't on the travel team ever last year or the year before. Then last week against Rutgers, James Ohanba shows up on field goal protection. It's like, whoa, okay. Didn't see that coming. And then this week, he ends up on the travel team. And I'm watching pregame warm-up, and he's second-string right guard. And I posted that in the game, the official game thread over the Underground Bunker message board. 20 minutes before kickoff, 30 minutes before kickoff, I was posting who the second string offensive line was because we didn't know because they've never issued a depth chart. So the way to figure out the depth chart is to go there early and watch pregame warm-ups and try to figure it out that way. Ohanba, second string guard, and then today got in the game. So I didn't see how he played. I mean, I don't even think I saw him in the green-white game. I think I might have saw him in the green-white game a year and a half ago, and it didn't look good. But the guy plays, he's got a smile on his face, and that's not a bad thing. Interesting that Ohanba's on the travel team as a second stringer. Henricks is on the travel team as a walk-on second stringer. And Van Opstal, a walk-on left tackle, second string left tackle. Second string. Not traveling, Khalifa, Dobbs, Kaler, scholarship offensive linemen. So, yeah, that's good for Ohanba. But what that says is, competition is going on, and those are the guys that this staff is impressed with, and that's who they feel they can work with. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, or they're at practice, they know better than we do, but it certainly is interesting. So Ohamba's a 4-star talent. So, I mean, 2 weeks ago, I would have said the chances of him becoming a starter at Michigan State someday, 2 weeks ago, I would have said would have been less than 15%, probably less than 10%. Now, I'd say there's a 50% chance he become a starter someday, just on what we saw in the last 8 days. It's good for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing I enjoyed, obviously Mel had a little bit more vigor in his comments, but they were very consistent from last week. We have a process. This is a beginning. This guy is focused, and I do believe this is just the beginning.
That neutral thinking that he's talking about, he exhibited that today in a monumental victory. I mean, retribution, exclamation point. And he was happy for Michigan State fans, glad to bring Paul Bunyan back where he belongs, as he said. But that neutral thinking, pretty strong. Like I said, he was a boss today. And impressive. Impressive coaching in the secondary, impressive corrections from week 1 to week 2 in pass protection, and working the H's and the tight ends in for more pass protection today. They didn't throw to the tight ends a lot because they had so much respect for Michigan's pass rush, but did not allow Michigan's pass rush to become a factor in the game. Did not abandon the run. They weren't getting huge chunks on the run, but 3.3 yards per carry, rushed enough to get that balance going. So top to bottom, rebounding from a difficult, terrible loss last week. Obviously a great week of practice, not just in terms physically on the field, but the whole psychological construct, the whole, the psychological disposition, as Nick Saban says and Mel Tucker says, all the way through to practice week, game plan, getting into the game plan early, how they throttled it back at the end of the first half, went right back to work in the second half. Even, the 2-minute defense at the end didn't come after them with blitzes, played their zones, gave up some stuff underneath. Michigan ate up the clock, played the percentages that way, and it all worked out. And then, the onside kick, and then the 3 plays, going back on the ground, and the fourth quarter's, the fourth down sneak with Lombardi, giving him the option on that. I've never seen that before, where you're giving the quarterback, you're drawing him offside. We've seen that before. Try to draw him offside, timeout, go back out there, try him again, look to the sideline, and Lombardi had the option that if he felt he could get the fourth down quarterback sneak, they gave him the green light to go ahead and try it. So he went up there, quick snap, got it. I mean, well-coached team from Monday to Saturday. And Michigan State football stock was a sell 7 days ago. It's a buy right now.
Yeah, absolutely. The turnaround from week 1 to week 2 was, I mean, when you got a gentleman who calls in who's 70 years old and tells you he's been following this stuff since he's been a grade schooler, and this is the biggest that he's seen. I mean, that's telling right there.
Yeah. So
yeah.
You're watching from Austin, Texas? There's a lot of Michigan State fans in Austin.
Yeah. I've been a Magger for a long time. Good buddy with Nils.
Wow.
He's always the first one to call after a game.
Is this Brad? Is this Brad?
Yeah, this is Brad.
All right, Brad. I know you. I know you. Awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. We go all the way back to that banquet in during the Saban days. I think it's the first time I met you. When Saban gave you that stink eye.
He did that more than once.
Anyway,
he did that more than once.
Anyways,
what
great,
was the story?
great job
You talking about the Michigan State football bust?
Yeah, we were at. Again, I've been with you since the newspaper, and I was at the bust, and I saw you coming out, so obviously I wanted to introduce myself to you, and tell you how much I like the product. And so you and I were talking, and Saban had come out from the bus, and he was just walking one-on-one, and he sort of came over and sort of gave you a look like, what are you doing here? And you mentioned something, and I ever since that little encounter, I said, I know Jim does not have a good taste for Nick Saban.
Yeah, I mean, if Nick Saban, if he were a third world dictator, he would have had me killed.
That's the way he looked. But
it's good that it's good that he's not a third world dictator, because he would send thousands to their death without blinking an eye. It's the way he is. It's the way he is.
Right.
Good football coach, though. I mean, that's the way he was. I don't know if he still is. I think he might have softened a little bit since then. Hey, good football coach. He did a good job at Michigan State. I don't blame him for leaving. I'm just saying that's the type of person he is. He's the worst human being I've ever met in my life. That's all.
Right. Yeah. No, he can coach football, but the other aspects of it, need to be. That's another story. But hey, great job with the SpartanMag Live. I mean, you were with us all the way through the pandemic. It was great to jump on when there was nothing going on. And as SpartanMag is Spartanmaggers, this is not just a 3-hour affair. We watch the game for 3 hours, but we all jump back on the message board. We look forward to the VCast, and now you've added this, so it's a great product. Again, I've been with you for a long time, and I just thoroughly enjoy it. So, hey, shout out to all the Spartan fans. What a great day.
All right, Brad. Thanks for being a part of the show. Appreciate you calling in, and I know you're a regular on our SpartanMag Lives, and we appreciate that, man. Brad, he often contributes over here in the chat area for our lives. Now we've done the call-in show. It's been a lot of fun. Let's see here. JJ Huddle 79 says 2 things to call out. Jacob Panashuk set the tone at the start of the game. He did with an inside move and that run defense tackle for loss of 5. That's right. That was a tone setter. And then he had a quarterback pressure, if not I think it was a sack. It didn't go down officially as a sack because he tackled the quarterback at the line of scrimmage for no gain. But that opening series, Panashuk had 2 really good plays. By the way, Mike Panashuk said that he said his last name was pronounced Panashuk like day one, but you hear them actually say that it's Panashuk.
Nick.
It's actually Panashuk or something like that. I don't want to get it wrong, but you're right. Jacob Panashuk played well, and he was quiet last week against Rutgers as well. I look forward to going back over the tape, get a closer look at Jacob Panashuk, and also the guys inside like Jalen Hunt and Mallory and Slade. And I think Naquan Jones was better because Naquan Jones was quiet against Rutgers also. But collectively, a lot of those players played with a different fire this week. And Mel Tucker didn't have to get that fire going because it's Michigan, right? And for the reasons we mentioned earlier, the way Michigan State was disrespected last year, there was a different fire, a different collective intensity this week. Tom Izzo went in and spoke with the team, and Mel Tucker said Izzo got him fired up, got Tucker fired up. Izzo give him a little of an assist there a little bit, just helping keep things stoked. But as D'Antonio would say, keeping the lion in the cage until Saturday. And the lion came out at noon at Michigan Stadium. Michigan State with a monumental victory, and it could do wonders for this season and for this coaching staff going forward. Are you calling from Pontiac, Michigan? Did I get that right?
No, I'm actually calling from New York.
All right, welcome to SpartanMag Live. What's your name, man?
My name is Nick. I'm actually grew up in Battle Creek, so I'm a Michigan native. I'm actually just in the military, so I'm stationed out in New York right now.
All right. Yeah, it said Battle Creek on the call on the line.
Yeah, but I still got my original number. That's why.
All right, Nick, what's going on, man? Thanks. You're in the military. Thank you for your service, man. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Obviously, huge win. No question about it. I think I think the way in which we came out and handled our business was kind of shocking in a positive way.
Yes.
But I was just curious to what you guys might have seen up there as far as like in warm-ups and on the sideline, just in regards to obviously, Rocky's the clear number one starter, but in regards to maybe who the backup might be between Thorne and Day, and then, what's going on with some of the injury situations. I know Matt Allen didn't even dress, if I heard that correctly, and wondering if you guys saw anything in regards to stuff like that, or in the wide receiver shuffle, obviously no Mosley today or Morgan again for the second time, but wondering if you saw or had any comment on anything like that.
All right, yeah. I was watching warm-up trying to get a clue on number 2 quarterback, and I saw Peyton Thorne taking number 2 snaps. Looked at me like Peyton Thorne was number 2. I was trying to find offensive line the whole time. When they went on the full 11, I didn't pinpoint and watch that, but earlier Thorne was taking the second-string snaps from Buter. Buter was the second-string center today. If something had happened, Isaiah also was doing snaps as a center. So when I watched what I perceived to be second string, it looked to me like Peyton Thorne was number 2 today. Matt Allen, the injury, I thought he finished the game last week healthy, so I'm not sure if it was something that happened during the practice week. They didn't tell us, and nobody asked because they're not going to say a whole lot about injuries, but he was not dressed. He was walking around okay. There was nothing on his legs, nothing on his ankles. So it must have been an upper body situation. Obviously, it's not COVID. Otherwise, he wouldn't be there. So I'm not sure what's going on with Matt Allen. But, Nick Samac, I think he's the center going forward now. I got to watch the tape again to get another look at it. Matt Allen's been serviceable in the past, but I think Nick Samac has a higher ceiling. I could be wrong about that. Matt Allen's a good kid. It's been a credit to the program. I just think that Nick Samac, it might be his time.
Either way, the pocket that they made today was something we haven't seen in a long time.
The what?
The pocket that the line was producing.
Yeah, consistent. It was good. I look forward to watching it again to see exactly how good it was and to look to see the footwork, because Quiddy Pay can do some good things, changing direction. He can do good things with a bull rush and disengage. He can do it any number of ways. And how they kept him quiet, I'll be interested to see how they made that happen.
Yeah, awesome. Well, hey, I appreciate the time and appreciate your stuff. Big fan, and keep up the good work and go green.
Thank you, Nick, in New York, and you keep up the good work also. Thank you very much, man. There goes Nick. Appreciate that call. One jumps out, you can jump in. And then Drippy says, where are the Lombardi haters now? I was surprised by that last week, that, so many people were critical of Rocky Lombardi last week. I understand that he was not great last year in mop-up duty, but he often was going into a game with Michigan State down 3 or 4 touchdowns. In Wisconsin, I think it was raining that day. There's no way you're going to go into that game and play well in that type of situation with second-string offensive linemen and a pass rush knowing on the other side, knowing that you're throwing and getting all over you. There's no way you're going to look good in those situations. He was really good redshirt freshman against Purdue. Not so good after that. Struggled in the snow at Nebraska. I understand the misgivings coming into the year, but then last week I thought he was solid, and I was surprised how many people jumped at his throat on our message board. Probably not Michigan State fans as a whole, but how many people were, initially critical of him last week. Now he had the sack of the 1-yard line against Rutgers. Maybe that ball could have come out a little quicker. The interception was not on him. With Naylor, it was a deep dropping zone. Naylor had a choice route, an option route, and an option route. If you've got an option, that's precisely when you cut it off and run a comeback or a hitch is when you see a deep dropping zone. And it was a deep dropping zone. It was a little tough to discern what type of zone it was and where the windows were, and it hadn't declared yet, but definitely was a sinking zone. So that's not when you run the takeoff usually. So Lombardi threw the comeback and it was an interception, and a lot of people turned on Rocky. But, that's fans. Fans are going to go one way. They're going to change with the wind, and that's okay. I think a lot of these players are they've grown up with social media and they've got thick skin, and they can kind of handle it. I'm impressed by that. I don't think I'd handle it so well, especially if it was Saban thrown off on me, right? All right, what do we have here? Detroit Spartan says he was solid for sure, but no Dan Marino. Let's not kid ourselves. That's true. He was good. I never got the sense that he was close to making a big mistake. He seemed so in control. Not great. I mean, they won the game. He was good, very good. Threw for what? Career high. The deep pass, the touch on the deep passes was something I didn't know that he had. 17 out of 32 for 323. It's going to look good in the funny papers. All right, Dan Bassam says, Comp, what was the moment like for Mel? He's been so guarded, it seems, just trying to learn more about the demeanor and personality of our head coach. Neutral thinking. He's all about neutral thinking. He's very, his press conferences are not his strength. Because he's trying to say the right thing. I don't know if he's trying to say the right thing or what, but he's just very calculated. And, he's an entertaining guy when he does his podcast and so forth. And he's jovial and approachable and amiable at the beginning of press conferences and at the end. It's not like he doesn't want to be there. It's not like he's a Bill Belichick type of situation. But doesn't tell you much, and he repeats a lot of those macro cliches, right? So I think he needs to still get a feel for that. But in terms of his personality, I think he's, like I said earlier, approachable. I think he's fair. And I think these players like him. And I was impressed that, to orchestrate this tremendous victory, and he was happy, but he was not out there spiking the football. It's not like this made his life or anything. He just says, we're going to review the film. We're going to find things that we can correct and come out of it better. We're going to find things that we like, and we're going to build on it. So, he's been taking notes from the great Nick Saban for a long time, and he's applying those things. So personality, I'm intrigued to see him out on the recruiting trail once we get into the periods where coaches can get out on the road again and get into the winter, hopefully, where juniors can come in and take official visits. I don't know when that's going to happen. But if they win some games and they do it in impressive fashion like this, when he goes out and recruits, and he's making these guys recruit every day. He says every day we got to recruit every day, and he's going to lead. He's going to recruit from the front. He's going to lead from the front when it comes to recruiting. A lot of head coaches lead from the rear, and they got their lead recruiters, and they go out and do stuff, and they come in and try to close. He leads from the front when it comes to recruiting. So there's a lot of potential energy there when you're looking at Mel Tucker, this program, and the way he's going about recruiting. If you add some victories like this one, I'm not sure. It's going to be interesting. I wonder about recruiting with Michigan because it's well known that Harbaugh does not have a contract right now, right? I would imagine that schools are going to be negative recruiting against that because if that were the case against Michigan State, people would be recruiting negatively like heck about like that. Michigan's recruiting well right now, so it doesn't seem to be bothering them. But they're not happy down there right now in Ann Arbor. Nor should they be, I guess. Detroit Spartan says 50% today, in control, no interceptions, no strip sacks. He deserves credit, no doubt. So now they'll go against Iowa with their array of zone defenses. And the part that I'm liking better about Rocky Lombardi is that son of a coach brain. And now he's got some experience, game management, toughness, leadership to go with improved accuracy mixed with that and these receivers. Give him a running game, and that's could be something. Run game, Jordan Simmons today, 14 carries. He led Michigan State in carries and in yards with 55 yards, 3.9 per carry. Connor Hayward, 13 carries, 2.2 per carry, 28 net yards. Not a game-breaking running back, but I explained earlier why he's got to carry the ball a little bit because if he's on the field, you cannot be telegraphing that you're going to throw the ball. He's got to get some carries in order to make him of use, pass protection, and as a receiver. If Jordan Simmons becomes really good in pass protection and as a receiver, then you can get both of those things out of him. As far as Elijah Collins goes, only one carry for him, 0 yards. So Elijah Collins, one of the bigger surprises of the season. Last year, over 900 yards. Coming into the year, we thought running back was fine and going to be a strength. Turns out it's not. At least it's not with him so far. But like Mel Tucker said when some of those early mic'd up videos of him at practice, going out to the practice field. He said, there's nothing out here but green grass and opportunity. Green grass and opportunity. Connor Hayward sees that opportunity. I heard Brandon Wright might get more run today, too. Didn't see it, though. He was at the game. He dressed, but he didn't get any carries. Green grass and opportunity. Cade McDonald, 2 catches, 15 yards. Former walk-on from the Chicago area. Went to high school with Peyton Thorne and Jaden Reed. Got out there and made consecutive plays at a key moment, at a key juncture. Green grass and opportunity. As far as other freshmen that were there or youngsters that were there, Simeon Barrow was there, I think, young defensive lineman. Mentioned Trayvon Morgan earlier. Avery Dunn, defensive end from Ohio, on the travel team. Really liked his film in high school. Athlete, 6'4", lean frame, can grow into that frame nicely, but plus athleticism as a defensive end. Was more of an outside linebacker in high school, but 6'4", range, change of direction, acceleration, all those things. Those are the type of guys that end up in the NFL. I'm not saying he will, but when you're looking at defensive ends in the NFL that are 6'4", usually when they're 17 years old, they don't look like NFL guys. They look like thin athletes, and they grow into their frame and become NFL players. That's one reason why you'll see small schools represented at the defensive end position in the NFL, probably more than any other position, because they're late bloomers. They're tall guys that are athletes that might not be finished products for the big school recruiters as 17-year-olds. Sometimes they end up in the MAC or other places. Anyway, we're about ready to wrap it up. I'm just buzzing through here a little bit to see if there's any other questions. I think Benjamin Walmsley, appreciate the personal sponsorship from Benjamin. I think he had a comment about linebackers. Certainly, Antoine Simmons good. Noah Harvey had a couple of good sticks. One time he missed a gap, I think, on a run play that got out for about 20 in the first half. What was Michigan's longest run? 19 yards from Haskins. I think that was the one. So he might have made one little error there, but I thought Harvey was improved over last week. Last week he just didn't. He seemed hesitant about assignments. Didn't seem to have a great grasp on the defense on a couple of occasions. I think he was better. Safe to say he was better at that this weekend. Shakur Brown in the slot as the nickelback. Good hits. Had the one personal foul that I thought could end up being a turning point that would lead toward costing Michigan State the game, but Michigan State gave up a touchdown on that drive, but battled back from it. Maybe that was a field goal on that drive. But Xavier Henderson plays at the linebacker level a lot when Michigan State plays single safety deep. Single safety deep, Trey Person. Usually it's Henderson comes into the box to give them a +1 in the box like a linebacker. At 210, he can play like a linebacker. He was physical today. But Michigan State played more single safety deep last week than this week. This week, it was more of that 2/3 cover 3, zone, and then man-to-man with a 3. They mixed in Tampa 2. They mixed in cover 6, which is cover 2 to one side, cover 4 to the other. They were varied, but infrequently were they single safety deep man-to-man underneath. They did more of that last week, less of that this week. They've got a lot in, and they're on the same page. When you've got a lot in and you keep everybody on the same page and you've got some pretty good athletes, that's a nice mix. Kalen Gervin played well today. Christian Jackson might not have was okay. I thought Christian Jackson might have been better last week. Safeties were solid. Dominic Brown came in. Who was the other? Davion Williams played last week, but I don't think he played this week. There was another defensive back. Oh, Emmanuel Flowers played. First time he has ever played. Emmanuel Flowers played.
Call from
Dan Rankin.
To accept, press 1.
Hey, Dan, what's going on, man?
What's up, man?
Is this Dan Rankin, the dad of Brad Rankin? No, different one.
What's that?
Nothing. I thought you were someone else. My bad, Dan. You call from Grand Rapids? Where
I want to know if you think that Antoine Simmons' play when Antoine jumped up in the end zone.
Yes.
What's up, man? When Antoine jumped up at the end zone,
What about it, my man?
that's Brad. That's Brad Ranko. Sorry, brother.
That's what about Brad Ranko?
When Antoine jumped up in the end zone, I think that was the play that changed everything.
Yeah, and it could have changed everything the other way because that came within inches of being a touchdown for Michigan. But that was big. Wildcat pass. We talked about that earlier on the show. Very heady play. He discovered it just in time. Just in time. Because everybody's loading up on Wildcat to get that mass of humanity to take on those blockers because it's a log jam of blockers and tacklers. So everybody's trying to throw their helmets in there and shoulder pads, including linebackers. So you start throwing it in there, and then all of a sudden you see a tight end release. And he was on it just enough and almost made a crazy interception. If he makes the interception there, that would have, it was good enough to get the tip there to force them to kick a field goal, which I think tied the game at 17-17. That was a pivotal play in the game. That play right there was 7 points in the balance. Great play by Simmons, and that gives him even more confidence and leadership and ownership, and he's turning into a special one. All right, I think we're going to wrap it up. We appreciate everybody checking in and being a part of the call-in show. Next week for Iowa, we expect to do this also maybe sooner, maybe like 2 hours after the game ends. We'll tee it up, kick it off, and do the post-game call-in show. Had some fun with this one. Went nearly 2 hours. I got some work to do. I got some writing to do. You can check that out over at SpartanMag.com. We appreciate all the callers. Appreciate everybody contributing over here in the chat area. I tried to answer some of these. Usually when we do Spartan Mag Live on Wednesday nights, it's without call-ins, and we take questions posted at the Underground Bunker message board at SpartanMag.com, and I read those questions and answer them mailbag style. And in the meantime, we have live mailbag from people watching as well. We appreciate the people over here on the chat area that are having conversations amongst themselves and contributing their 3-star selections. Let's see, here's another question from Benjamin Walmsley. I'm going to field this one because Benjamin gave us a personal sponsorship tonight, and we appreciate that, Benjamin. Benjamin says, are we surprised Michigan stuck with number 4 on the field? Talking about Vincent Gray. He was struggling, and I was surprised by that because I thought he was pretty good prior to today. He'd only had 1 start, but I thought he looked pretty good in some ways against Minnesota. I don't know enough about their second string as to whether we should be surprised that he remained in the game. And he says, don't know much about the Michigan players, but man, did he have some costly penalties and deep balls. I loved how we found an advantage and struck. I would agree with that, Benjamin. Seth Foreman with a super sticker. The winking face. Appreciate you buying the super sticker. Seth Foreman says, thanks for doing these, Jim. Well, thank you for showing up. Seth Foreman. And that's going to do it. All right, guys and girls, thanks for being a part of Spartan Mag Live, the post-game call-in show. Happy day for Spartans. Everybody have a happy Halloween, a happy weekend. Celebrate safely, and we will see you next week, probably with Spartan Mag Live at some point in the week. And we got to get a recruiting wrap going also with Corey Robinson. Corey Robinson does a great job, SpartanMag.com. So does Justin Thind. Do a search, check out their podcast also. It's called Spartan Spotlight. Go to SpartanMag.com. Myself and Konadike, we had the VCast, went about 40 minutes post-game over there. We got more content. And as always, round-the-clock conversation at the Underground Bunker message board at SpartanMag.com. It is the church of what's happening now with Michigan State sports, the daily narrative on Michigan State sports, especially football and basketball and recruiting, SpartanMag.com. From Ann Arbor, Michigan, by way of East Lansing, Michigan, everybody have a safe, happy weekend. Thanks for checking us out, SpartanMag.com.